Greetings, seekers of ancient wisdom. Today we're talking about eclectic music, and I'm joined by Murray Theron, who is a multi instrumentalist and a recorder, and also a composer. So multifaceted musical talent. So, Murray, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Okay, thanks, Deepak. Enjoying the outside.
Yeah, I can see you're definitely enjoying sitting outside and connecting with nature for our talk.
Nature and technology.
So tell us how you got into this type of music because I heard you guys playing last week and it was absolutely mesmerizing. I've never heard music like that. It like took me in a trance, while I was just listening to you guys playing all these variety of instruments. So, yeah, tell us how you got into that type of music.
Yeah, it's the pit or the tribal trio. It's a strange combination because we got the people in that trio. The three of us, are so different from each other. So I think that's where the magic comes in, I guess. And so we got Pete, who's the central figure of this. Um, and then he studied art, so he's thoroughly trained for creative expression, but from himself. Whereas the other two, the Alan and me, we are more geared towards the supporting um, function in this trio, um, where whenever there's a spark, we know exactly what to do with it, how to flame the fire, how to fuel the fire. So yeah, I think it's in that sense, it's an interesting combination. And it's working really well. Um, yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, so Pete is the central figure, and I got to know Pete first a long time ago when I was almost like um, trailing him. I wouldn't say stalking because I wasn't like on his case. I was just always checking out where is he and what's he doing. And it took me several years to get connected with him and to get into his circle and start making music with him. And then Alan is joined us recently, a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, when he suddenly appeared out of. He came from Botrivier, I think, in Western Cape. So he just is with us now, and he's staying on the same at the same co-op as Pete is staying. So they are basically living in the same community. Um, so they are together all the time, and I just come in from the side every now and then and join up with them.
Okay. So that's the tribal trio, and we're going to actually have a podcast with Pete and Llewellyn individually. So we're going to get their backstory. But Murray, we want to hear your backstory. How did you end up being a multi instrumentalist? You play such a wide variety of music, and it's so eclectic, and you have like a special relationship with music. Um, Maybe explain that.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're talking from your perspective of the as an audience member of the show. So you got you got the angle of that. And I would also like to ask you a question about that maybe later on, because the way you experienced it would also help me to answer that question. Um, but yeah, maybe before I do that, tell me something about how you experienced it. I can maybe tie my answer into that.
Yeah, so look, I didn't know what to expect when you guys were coming on, and I could see like this wide array of different instruments. There was a didgeridoo, there was like I think a couple of djembe drums, there was triangles, there was like some technology stuff, and geez, when you guys started playing, it was like like somehow all these sounds mixed in, but they sort of came in one by one, and they sort of just mixed into the same space and like didn't step on each other's toes, but still danced around each other, all these different instruments. And it was like so psychedelic. I don't know what other word to use except psychedelic. It like felt like I was on a trip, like I was. traveling through the cosmos, listening to you guys. It was just um, mesmerizing because it felt there was one song that I was listening to. It felt like it was going on for like hours. Like I was just lost in this thoughts and shooting through space, but it felt like just going on and on and on. And when I opened my eyes, it was just like 5 minutes, and you guys were still on the stage doing your thing. So it was really magical for me. Um, and like I said, I never heard anything like that before. I actually want to know if you guys have, can I buy that music? Do you actually have recordings of that, or is it just something that you think up on stage, you're just playing together, and you might have practiced a bit, but it feels very much like you're just feeling each other out and just having fun and maybe doing something new in that time. It feels like that.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing description and so well put. Yeah. Okay, that gives me a good starting point. Um, yeah, it's almost like a dance. It almost sounded to me like you were talking about a type of dance because when you're dancing, you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just moving with the elements around you. And in this case, elements are other musicians. We had a trio, but we also had other people joining us. We had Andries from the Kitsgas, and then also Pete's wife, Therese, and another guy, Eddie, who joined us on Therese and Eddie joined us on djembe. So we had almost, it was like a core thing with some other guest instrumentalists, you want to put it like that. Um, but it's as if you are dancing with these people. Everyone does it their own thing, but it's as if you're also dancing as one organism almost, and like you're almost like one part of a body that's dancing. To put it, if you want to put it like that. I remember playing the keyboards. The keyboards were turning back, so I just like stood with my back to these people playing keyboard. Um, but it didn't. I didn't need to see them. It felt like I can do whatever I want, not even making eye contact, which is actually normally quite a big thing in music, is eye contact. But I don't even remember making eye contact once during that performance. So um, in that case, it's as if we are just doing the next thing, which just comes up. And I guess Pete is once again, like I said, he's the central figure, and he is probably the catalyst for that. So he must get all the credit for making this performance happen. I mean, without him, it would be the spark would be lost. So I wouldn't say in a different configuration that would be another story. And one of us could do have the same function, but in this setup, that's how it comes to life. Um, so basically, it's a dance, and we are aware of each other, but not thinking of each other. And and like you said, so much time going by, it's as if everything synchronizes up, everything zincs up, and then it's as if it's an organism that just goes by itself. Like as if it took us maybe the first song or two to get into this movement where everything starts to work in synchronization, and it's not planned, and it's also not choreographed or anything. It just sits, put it like that. So that's a performance, and then how I tie into that. Um, I think each one of us have our own um, sort of angle. So, like I said, Pete is the creative force of it, or the central creative force. Um, then I think Alan is almost he keeps the groove going. He chooses. You'll hear from him also. I don't know if he'll talk about it, but he chooses one instrument. Sorry, he chooses one instrument and then he sticks with that instrument for months at a time, and then you can't get him off of that instrument. So we did really cool stuff with him on the congas, and he was doing that all the time, and I got really good at it. And then that part of the music was so strong in that rhythmic section, rhythmic side of it. Um, so he was because he was really focusing on that one instrument and bringing such a clear segment of the music through. And then he dropped that all, and now it's on a guitarist on a nylon string. So he now makes a whole different segment of music open and focuses on that, and he does it fully, completely filling that gap, which makes him an amazing instrumentalist in that sense. So he can fill a segment of the performance. And then my part in it sometimes is to provide a bit of leadership in terms of, because the instruments I normally use, I choose are quite you can hear them pretty well. So I use a bass drum or I use shakers. Um, I play saxophone. So um, I can if I see things needs to go, I don't even think it needs to go. It just happens. I see, oh, okay, what's happening is now with a shaker, I'm steering it maybe in a direction. Or with the bass drum, um, the bass drum is a really cool instrument, a hand bass drum, because it's got various areas on the vellum where you can play it and you can get different sounds out of it. So I can almost like it's like someone telling a story over what's happening, or I can increase the energy or drop the energy if it happens. So I've got a lot of control, if you want to call it control, but it's more in terms of um, um, modulation and capabilities of the music, if you want to put it technically. But I've got um, um, I can change a lot of dynamics, if you want to call it like that. Yeah, so that's how so my strength in music in that sense is, um, well, I guess it's all of our strengths, because I think we all feel the same about music. Um, is that I can just I suddenly get a feeling that there's a dynamic movement in the music, and I can maintain that, um, and then add also expression, because sometimes, especially with the saxophone stuff like that. Um, Two things. I can bring out expression with those instruments because they are very powerful instruments. Um, but also add another. I was talking about adding a story over the story that's happening. So with the bass drum, I can almost like a talking bass drum. But also with the saxophone, that's where melody comes in. Is I can add a melodic line, an improvised melodic line over that, which is another story. Um, and there's also room for expression in there and for emotion.
So you like play keyboard, I saw you had the shakers, you were doing the drums, and then you also had the saxophone. And you actually, I think in one of the songs, or they're not really called songs, but one of the tracks you were playing, I think you might have played all four instruments in that same song. I mean, I was watching all of you guys very intently, and you would be on the keyboard for a bit, playing something, and then you would walk over, pick up your saxophone, then do something on the saxophone for a bit, um, and then go to your shakers. Like, do you have a plan? Like, okay, I'm going to start here and go to the sax, or is it just really like in the moment you're feeling this is the next thing I want to go and play? And I think you also use a loop station, if I remember correct. So you capture some.
We were going to use it, but we actually rehearsed with the loop station, several rehearsals with it, and then we dropped it because we had other musicians in on it, and they weren't looped. So we decided to leave that out and just do everything live. Um, and I think that's a good decision, because you can with loop station you always have to rehearse. You have like a certain way of bringing in the instruments, and then if you do other instruments over that, then they must know, well, they must have understanding of the loop station and where you are in the loop, so that they can't. Yeah, so it's a complicated story, but yeah, it's better to just drop it, and it worked well, I think. Um, And then your question about do I decide? Sometimes I think, oh, I'm just waiting for the next opportunity to bring in this instrument, and then the moment passes, then I can't do it because also a part of that, because I'm playing bass drum, I have to keep the groove. So you can't just drop it and go to the next thing. So there's a lot of responsibility in terms of keeping the thing going. So it's not completely just doing what you want or just going with the moment. There's also a sense of responsibility and of consistency that has to be maintained, especially with those instruments. If I drop the shaker, everybody hears that. At many drumming circles, when I stop shaking, the energy just goes down. So you have to be aware of that. So what I do sometimes, another thing I do is I don't play all the time the same groove all the time. I add a lot of gaps in it, so that those gaps also form a rhythm of its own, like a long rhythmic pattern over several bars of music. So to do that, that gives me also opportunity to add stuff on the side, or on top of that, also to be able to leave that and go to another instrument because it's not as prominent. Um, yeah, but when the groove is going, I can't drop the bass drum. I got to keep going on it. And then I only got two hands, so I can bass drum shaker. That's it. I can't play anything else really when that's happening. Bass drum shaker, sticks on the cowbell, stuff like that. But you can do a lot with the bass drum hit, a shaker, and a cowbell stick. Sometimes I have two sticks in my hand, in my right hand, so I can play bass drum and hit the cowbell with the other stick. So I can do that as much as I can do, but not more than that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really, really, you're such a talented multi-instrumental, and it was really on show, when you were playing because all the instruments were out and each of them was getting a little bit of a turn from you. So, Murray, I actually wanted to shift our conversation to composing because this is also a skill set that you have. So, maybe talk us through the process of how you compose music, come up with music, and how does that all flow out of you?
I'd like to see myself as a composer, but maybe I'm just a songwriter because my compositions end up as songs with lyrics, guitar, voice, um, and but I like to. Well, I did compose stuff, but it's not like I'm doing it as a for the income or anything. Um, but those things are like very personal, intimate sort of feelings that just end up in songs, also automatically. It's not something that I sort of like try to force or anything. So that happened over years, and it's just. But that also was happened in when somebody else was involved. So with music, with me, I operate best if there's other people. And this was another guy who I did songs with, Barry, was his name, is his name. And we just like one day hanged out and made a bunch of songs. And then from there, it picked up. So that was a catalyst for that. Um, but yeah, I've got a whole bunch of songs that I perform, not commercially or anything, but yeah, I'm working on those songs, trying to get them out.
So, yeah, talk to us. What is the actual process of getting a song out? Like, I mean, you have to find a recording label or
In my case, the main thing was to get the voice to sound right. I was never happy with my voice. The way it sounded. It sounded a bit too maybe not didn't have enough character. Even though I think the songs are filled with character, but it's just to get the right type of voice. For me, that's very important. But but yeah, that's just me. I think if the voice is good, then anything is possible. Um, um, so yeah, then you can get to getting the songs out, but those things are now much easier. So you know, it's not a problem. Even with recording, I can record. I've recorded a lot of stuff, also with me and Pete. That's sitting there. that um, um, I think I think if the like to come back with, to Pete, those his voice is really strong. So whenever I can get his voice on something, then I just grab it, and then I can do stuff with that. Yeah, but with my own stuff, it's a life journey, I guess, to get it to sound the way I want it to sound, I guess. But that's just that's typical setting on your talent sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm working on that.
But do you publish your music anywhere, like on Spotify or I don't know, other music platforms? Like, how can people actually find your music if they wanted to get it?
Well, I'm not really the one to give advice because I haven't really done much of that. I have performed on other people's tracks, um, but for that, I can't really help you. I just know that you must just what most people do around is get a DistroKid account and get a Spotify account and just put it up there. And I know that you have to one maybe one small gripe I have with the system still is that you have to push it your songs, even though everything's electronic and automatic. You still have to push those songs with um, the 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 platform that are putting the music up. You have to prove to them that your song is good. I don't know if it's still like that, but the last time I checked it, it still had to be like that. So I'm still hoping that maybe one day everything will be automatic. If your music is good, it's fine if an algorithm can pick up on that, and if the algorithm can see the music is good, it can place it in a category and it pushes it where it thinks it needs to be pushed. I'm cool with that as long as everything is basically just working on face value. There's no need to try and convince anybody of anything. Yeah, it's sort of there. I think at the moment it's getting there. So maybe it will be like that completely. Then anybody can just put a song on. It's almost like the content. If you're talking about content, real content, putting up reels. The desire from the social media companies is that you have to keep adding content to make your content that you put up there more visible. So hopefully in the future we don't have to worry about those things. There's I've seen I'm talking about something else now, but if you make there are so many people on this planet that make, let's say there's one person makes a really fantastic reel of just maybe a simple thing happening in their life, but it has a lot of value for people to see. If that reel could just be on the same level as somebody else who makes a lot of reels, puts content up there, if that reel, because of the value of its content, if it could be at the same level of that thing and be pushed as hard as that other reel from multi-content providers, then that would also be really cool, I think.
Yeah, you've definitely touched on a couple of things, but I wanted to ask a question about this new age of AI music. I don't know if you've come across it. There's like these websites that can make music for you. And I actually used a couple of this last year. Um, the one website is called Suno, Suno, and you can actually just put your lyrics, whatever words you want, you can just dump it in there. You can actually choose your music genre. So I could choose hip hop or rock or whatever, and you can give a description of how you want that music to be, and then you like sort of hit generate, and then it spits out a version, an AI generated version of your lyrics in the style genre that you wanted. And I must admit, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Some of it sounds not too bad. I don't like it because it still has like an AI undertone to it. I still know it's AI. I know it's artificial. The voices, because they do have vocals, the voices sound a little bit artificially. So it's not really my vibe, but I'm very impressed that this is actually happening. And What's your view on it, and how is it affecting your livelihood?
Yeah, well, I don't think I've got a problem with it per se. I think it's cool if people can use that to augment their maybe their own personal human creativity, like we've been doing ever since, because we've been doing samples, adding samples of existing material in your music. That's the same as AI technically, because it's not your creation. You just take something and add it, and AI is basically just AI is not completely artificial. It is taking stuff that has been made by humans and just put it in there. So I don't see there's much of a big difference from between those two things. But um, I don't see. I think I think the end product is experienced as um, really creates a connection with the listener. Um, I guess it's good. Sometimes people can be fooled, and that is maybe a very tender thing, because if you listen to something and you're really emotionally moved by it, and then you realize it's been completely computer generated, I guess it could be a bit of a cognitive dissonance there. Um, but at the end of the day, even that content has been sourced from human creativity, so it's not completely synthetic. Um, but yeah, I don't really think most people I know are not really worried about it, because um, I think, well, I guess if you're really reliant on that as for a living, and you find that you're in competition with other people doing that, but it could be a problem, I guess. But if you're really truly creative and resourceful, there will always be a newer or better or different genre or style that you can apply. I mean, if I look at, once again, at content, Facebook content, for example, if I look at Reels, there's so much new stuff on there, constantly being like stuff I've never seen, that it's just humans creating it. And I don't think AI can keep up with that. It's just, we are just constantly evolving and coming up with new ideas, new ways of expression. AI will always be behind it. So, to say that AI will take over in the music scene, in that sense, I don't think it will happen.
I personally also don't think it'll happen because it just doesn't sound authentic. There's something about it. Just, I mean, it sounds good, but it's just like, I don't know, the livelihood, or just the essence, the natural essence of it is just missing, and it sounds very like mechanically put together. Especially the vocals. If you listen carefully, the vocals sound very artificial, like a computer voice. In a sense, it's really good.
Maybe subconsciously I try to avoid all that up to now, but actually I'm curious. I want to listen to it and see what, how does it sound to me. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think if you can bring in human creativity together with that, and use it in the right way, you know, not just slap the two things together, but knowing how to manipulate the two, so that the end product is a human product primarily. Well, in essence, completely, because you are manipulating everything. Not AI is manipulating stuff. You are manipulating AI, which is manipulating data which you requested. So yeah, I think it should be fine. So maybe you can enter more parameters into that song and then see what comes out. Like maybe like sorry, maybe like singing something, and ask AI to use part of that, or yeah, I don't know, but there must be a way to manipulate it more in a creative way, so that even if you can see, yeah, it's AI generated, you can see it's plastic or synthetic, you can see it was directed by a human.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting to see how this evolves because you're coming from a more old school type of music. I mean, you've learned how to play these instruments. You've got a good fundamental, basic, first principles understanding of music. I don't know, you must have studied music theory because it sounds like you have a really good grasp of it. and maybe there is a way that AI can help to evolve your music, or just the music in general. So personally, at the moment, I'm a bit anti AI. So I did a whole bunch of songs. I actually have published some of my AI music on my Instagram and TikTok and stuff, but I'm not going to do that anymore. What I actually want to do is I want to get musicians like yourself maybe to recreate some of the AI generated music, because they've given some good ideas, but you could maybe take that idea and then recreate it with actually humans making the music. That's sort of what I was thinking about, but you know that's a conversation for another day.
Mm, mm, interesting. Yeah, sure.
So Murray, tell us about how how do you go about finding shows? Do you have like a regular gig that you play like every week? How can people come and find you and interact with you and get to hear your music and even buy your music? I mean, I've been asking to try and get some of your music so I can play it at home, because it really is very psychedelic for me.
Yeah, I saw coming back to Facebook. I saw a meme where somebody said spray painted on the wall. Put out your music. Somebody needs it. You know, or there's someone out there who needs it. Yeah. So um, in my case, up to now, chasing. I've been chasing. How do you put it? Authentic music and live music. And in the process, the problem with that is, I also told you before you started recording about what do I do. But part of that is um, that I also wanted to record that as it happens. But the bigger part of my life has just been chasing that music, and then the other chunk of it is trying to record it, um, which is incredibly difficult. I've been in so many situations where I try to, uh, it's just the same research um, um, like psychology research or social sciences research, where the moment you record what's happening, you destroy the event. So for me, it's been a lifelong journey trying to get to a point where I can be in the fleeting moment of what's happening, and also recording it and making it available to other people, because that's such a gem, that music, and to experience it as it happens is such a privilege. But to be able to share it is really a lifelong goal for me. But um, like I said, you can so easily destroy it. If the moment people see you recording stuff, there are so many different setups and so many different people that I've been with and making music with them, that I see the moment I press that record button, something happens. So I've looked at ways to do it secretly, which has got ethical problems. Um, so that doesn't work openly. Um, Up to now is maybe the better approach, but then there's some ways you have to prepare people for it, and you have to need a lot of time for them to get used to what's happening. I'm trying to record it, and then um, like I've got all these challenges about that, around that, and um, so mainly what's happening is when something really unique and special happens, I'm normally there. I sort of try to tune myself to those things, um, but the recording side of it hasn't realized the way I wanted to yet. So yeah, but maybe over time that will happen. Even if I get one or two, and that would be, if I get a good recording of something, of one performance. That's um, or okay, that sounds a bit drastic, but maybe it's not as difficult. But still, yeah, sure, you can say I'm maybe a perfectionist, but which I am probably. Okay, I guess I'm one, but um, I've also learned how to sort of live with that and just try to get it done. Um, yeah, but that's a challenge for me, um, to get it out there, to get it on tape, I guess. So if you want to see me, um, but yeah, I do a lot of performances on saxophone. I play with bands, folk bands, rock bands. I play on and off with lots of people. I've played with Bacchus Nel quite a lot. I don't know if you know Bacchus Nel. He's a very iconic um, Afrikaans folk singer. Um, yeah, I played with lots of different people, but I'm not in a specific band at the moment. I'm just freelancing. Um, so, so if you normally what I when something happens, I'll just put it on Facebook. Um, and also, what I see is what I do normally is it's also to see what's happening with the Go places. I just use the Facebook friends event. Well, if there's an event happening, you just click on friends and see where your friends are going. So normally, if you see this person is going to that event, and probably is going to be involved or going to be there at least. If he's a musician, yeah. But I don't really invite people anymore to events because it's such a mission, and um, yeah. So I guess it's just. But I guess one can also see by the photos people are posting what they're doing and what they're up to and where they're performing and stuff like that. So I guess Facebook is the best way to see what's happening. In my case, in my case, yeah, I guess. But sometimes if people like you, for example, if I know if something interesting is gonna happen, I'll definitely send you WhatsApp, to send you, okay, well, to let you know, well, something's happening, come check it out. If I got time, I'll just send those messages out.
Yeah, you were touching on something very interesting. I didn't even think about that when you record, when you actually start recording, it changes somehow the playing of the music. Like you can't capture that essence once you put the recorder on. Once you're playing live, it's just amazing and fun. But once you try to record it, once you've tried to capture it, then somehow you lose that essence. And I didn't even think about that, that musicians actually can have this maybe aversion or a little bit of extra stress, or somehow when they know that they're being recorded, that they somehow just don't play the same. And it's yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing, but it's good to be aware.
It's like I said, a lifelong journey, and I think like there are so many bands out there that only made one album or maybe just one song, but it changed so many people's lives um, because it's such a big hit or whatever. So sometimes I think in terms of that if you've got one thing that you can put out there, even if it's one song, but that a lot of people are going to be able to listen to and it will add value, then that's already that's a big thing. Yeah, so that's how I look at it. I try to look at it less to be less involved personally, more look at it from a distance and see what is the value of that. And it doesn't matter if you work your whole life towards maybe one song. And I mean, how many people can say that I put out one song that was, um, I wouldn't say hit, but that was actually listened to many people and made a difference in their lives. I think on Spotify now and the other platforms, it's much easier. You can, distribution wise, um, it's much easier. So actually, maybe two songs or more should be easier than just one. You know.
But just from my understanding, I mean, is it not practical to use a recording studio and, I don't know, book it out for an hour or a couple of hours, or is it just not affordable? Is that the problem? That you need so much recording time, that you need the sound engineers and you need sound other experts, and it just becomes so expensive to actually record something.
I think with recording, yeah, there are two ways of doing it. You can do it yourself, or you can do it with in that setup where you got a professional setup, and I think sometimes that's I think probably that's quite a good option because then somebody else is doing it, and everybody knows. Okay, almost like outsiders are recording this thing, so we are cool with that because we are all in the same boat, you know. Um, and because of that, the performance can be separated from the recording, um, and then you can just record it. Um, and you don't even know that you're recording it because you are in a different uh, functional space as the recording crew. So yeah, maybe that is the best way to do it. Now that you mention it, it's an investment, but yeah.
Yeah, it does sound quite expensive. So let's talk about the actual music that you're playing, because you play very, I would I would almost call it ancient. It is like ancient sounds. You know, you got the shakers, you got the drums. Okay, fair enough. You got the keyboard and saxophone, but those are also very olden type of instruments. I mean, the keyboard is essentially a piano, right? I mean, it's a modern day piano, and maybe it has a bit more functionality. But what's your view on old music versus like today present day music? Because I must be honest, there's not any present day music that I like. If I listen to something, I'm listening to the old classics. I go back to the 80s or 90s or 70s. You know, that's the music that actually I appreciate listening to. The present day stuff just sounds like complete drivel. What's your view on that?
Oh, okay, yeah. I think music these days are. Um, I think warmth is a very important quality in music. Even if it's if you're looking for the synthetic or the computer sound, you know, but if you can bring warmth in there, either through whatever means, through computer music techniques, or through bringing in vocal sounds or vocal acoustic instruments, I think that to me is a very important quality of music to give it once again that human quality. Um, but also you can also yeah I think music has got different sound qualities. You've got texture also, you know, which you can bring out with the type of instruments that you're using. With texture, you can add grit, you know, you can add emotion. Um, well, texture is a funny sound, but that's how I see it because like you can have a granular sound, or you can have a more smooth sound, and all of that adds personality or movement, or it takes it places. You know, if you hear that different texture of the sound. Um, so I think music today, I listen a lot to folk music, contemporary folk music, which has got all of it's got a, like this warm quality. Um, but also smooth, you know, warm and smooth because it's just naturally technology is the sound quality is so much better. You can do so much more with the sound to polish it off. So, um, but I also like music. I like dance music, also electronic music. It's a big part of my how I grew up with was dance music. So um, I like um, the clarity of the dance music, you know, because it's as if everything's cleaned out and you just like in the middle of the dance floor, and everything is all the acoustic um, byproducts of you know all the noise is filtered out, so you can just focus on your movement in music. So yeah, that's another part of it that I like, and I think dance music has always been well, I guess with dance music today, I don't know what styles are there, but you know that the um, what is that? Progressive house was a big change over in the last decade, I guess, um, um, which is more still that polished, that clean sound, but it's also once again warmth coming in and a bit more driving quality, which is more like the '90s dance thing. Well, you got different dance cultures, dance styles from the 90s, but the harder side of that is coming in again. So I like that a lot also. So because I don't I normally like to sum up, dance music, especially which is a big chunk of what I listen to, is maybe warmer, but also it's got a edge to it, which I enjoy a lot. And then the folk side of it also, it's also got a lot of warmth in it. That's what I see. I don't know the rest of the styles, but that's what I'm more tuned into.
Okay. Because I guess music is so vast. I mean, like it's endless, right? It's almost like infinitum, the amount of music that's available. And I guess you can only really listen to a small subset of that in our lives. And like you said, you actually like dance music. I wouldn't even have thought that you like electronic dance music, like progressive house. That seems so left field for you. But I guess with music, you can appreciate many different genres and styles. So, Murray, anything else you would like to leave us on? I mean, we would like to hear about the ancient wisdom of your music. Maybe you can tell us about some of the ancient wisdom that you bring into your music, because it definitely is ancient sounds that are coming in, with the didgeridoo. I mean, you've got the shakers, you've got your big drum. Like, what's your view on the wisdom of music?
Yeah, I think, like I also said, the instruments themselves have got wisdom in them because they were designed over many years. Some of them are more modern than others, but they evolved to fill a certain gap that we need to express, which we can't do with our voice or with through our dance, our choreography, those things. We need to express things in sound, and we can't do it with just our bodies. We can do a lot with it, but we can't do that. So these instruments evolved over the time. Like basically, all instruments have already been designed. You can't, if you want to design a new instrument, it's going to fill a very small niche of something, but could anyways be covered by the original instruments, in my opinion. So um, interesting that even in modern times we were still designing new instruments. Like the saxophone is not that old, you know. Um, it was I think it was, I don't know how long ago it was designed, but um, maybe in the 19th century, not before that. Um, so yeah, so these instruments are evolved to cover that space, and so ancient is basically, in my opinion, just knowing what's out there. It's not really ancient. It's just knowing what needs to, or what are your means to do what you want to do. So if I've got ancient knowledge, it just means, um, uh, well, I guess it has to do with expression, and music is to do with expression. So I want to express this. I don't know what it is that I want to express, but I got a feeling. I need to express it. I need an instrument to do that. Okay, choose one, do that, and then you can sort of get some feedback from that because people listen to the music, you listen to what you're doing. Um, yeah, I guess it has to do with expressing and getting feedback. Um, I guess that's where ancient wisdom comes in music.
Amazing, amazing. So, Murray, I think we've come to the end of our show. I really enjoyed chatting about all this different music that you create and how you create it and how you actually flow with your different musical partners. I mean, it was amazing to hear that you actually go play Afrikaans rock. You play in that band sometimes, and you play in the tribal trio, and you play in a whole different variety of musical styles. You are a true musical embodiment of different instruments. And it's fascinating to watch you play. And I look forward to catching you live again. I really do hope we can capture your music because I've been dreaming about that music that I heard at the Serenity Festival. Like, I just want to hear it again.
Thanks a lot, Deepak. I really enjoyed chatting with you also. It was really fun and insightful for me also. Just hearing what you know, uh, yeah, the stuff I know, but I never discuss it, with people. So now I also get a different feeling for what I know and what I feel. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people felt the same. Like, I was talking to my friend Viji, who was at the Serenity with me, and he was also like completely mesmerized. I mean, we didn't plan to sit and listen to you for a long time. We were like thinking, we'll just sit for a few minutes because we need to go pack, and it was like the end of the festival. We need to get away before it rains, and we're worried about that. But your music just kept us there. We couldn't leave, really. We just sat there for like maybe like 40 minutes, and we were like magnetized. We were just unable to claw ourselves away because you just kept us hooked there. So it was really, really special. You guys definitely go check out Murray and the Pete Arda Tribal Trio. If you ever see them playing anywhere, it is such a treat and worth the listen. So, Murray, until then,
Yeah, until then, see you guys soon.
ciao for now.